It was the Woolwich actually where I didn't know this at the time. Actually, that was where I found my first niche,
Right.
and I also started training and coaching other financial advisors.
So you're actually quite young when you started doing that, sort of
Yeah,
before it was,
about 25, I think, at that point.
right, yes, because you
Yeah,
must be a
24,
similar sort of,
25.
yeah, age to me. So you started doing that, so with the Woolwich. How long were you with the Woolwich?
7 or 8 years. So you've just heard me talking about my first niche in my interview just then. Um, Actually, I was wrong about it. Thinking back, and I think I probably mentioned it a bit further on in this meeting. The first company I worked for was an insurance company called Prosperity. Um, the idea behind that was that they pulled a lot of people in off the street, and I was one of them, to sell to their family and friends, and then gradually over the coming weeks, months, years, however long it takes, they disappear. But of course, Prosperity Hope, the policies and things you set up for your family and friends sticks. Thing was, I didn't have any family or friends to sell to, so I spent the day sitting on buses and talking to bus drivers about their pensions. That was my first niche. And so where there were probably about 50 people who started with me, and then as people left, others were pulled in to top that up, so they tried to retain 50. By the end of year one, I was the only one left in that office in central Bristol. Put my teeth in. And that was because I had the pure genius and foresight to go and find clients that I could work with, whereas everybody else had a minimal amount of people they could work with, their family and friends, and then they would disappear. To me, that was absolutely phenomenal foundations and success, because I didn't earn that much in that year, maybe £1,000 a month, something like that. But it gave me such insight into financial planning and the world of finances. It was really, really good, and that kind of spurred my interest actually in pensions, which is where I ended up at the end of my career. So my second niche was in the Woolwich. So we'd get loads of people wheeled in to sit with us who had money in their savings accounts, earning probably 4 or 5% at that time per year, which seemed okay. Inflation was around 2% maybe, so it was ticking over, but it wasn't doing anything spectacular. And the Woolwich had a range of unit trust or collective investments. I think they were probably called unit trusts then, and then the name changed to OEICs, OEICS. But there was a tax wrapper that you could put around them called, I think at that point in time they were called PEPs, Personal Equity Plans. And the maximum you could put into a PEP was 6,000. So all my colleagues around the country were wheeling these customers in front of them, setting up a maximum of £6,000 into a PEP. Actually, the training told us to put, if somebody, let's say somebody had 100,000, they take 50,000 of that, put 6,000 of that into the unit trust, surrounded by the tax-free wrapper. The other amount of money sits alongside it in the unit trust, and then each year we pull another 6,000 into the PEP and just keep doing that until there's no money left in the taxable side of it. But no one else was doing that. It was crazy. So my second niche was getting these customers and actually doing the job properly. And so figuring out what clients needed to spend on certain things they had planned or rainy day money, and then the rest of it was free to invest. So whereas my colleagues were investing 6,000, I would be investing 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 in various different investments. And it just kept going like that. And then because I kept getting to the top of the leaderboard, people started asking me what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. And it was at that point in time that I started going around the country training other advisors on what to do. So that's where my love of imparting skills and knowledge to other financial advisors who want to get as much as they possibly can do comes from. Well, I can't think of any other reason why. I enjoyed doing it. It worked really well because I soon got knocked off the top of the leaderboard because people in more affluent parts of the country were fast replacing me. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. Anyway, so that was my second niche. My third niche was when I joined HSBC Bank and Lloyds Bank, and then people started coming in their droves with endowment policies, which are savings plans, and these were linked to pay off their interest-only mortgages. They just were failing, seemingly, on paper at least, dismally, and it looked as though people had massive shortfalls. And so I helped these clients change from the interest-only / endowment mortgage into a repayment mortgage, and everybody was happy. Win-win. Clients coming into my office crying because they had a letter saying they're in the £20,000 shortfall on their endowment mortgage, left the building knowing that everything was risk free and it was all sorted out. So that was my third niche. Then my fourth niche, and actually that third niche carried on into my own financial advice company when I was an independent financial advisor. My fourth niche was pensions. Coming back to my first niche. And it was the pension world that helped me get my 3 2 Comma Club awards. And so, what is the moral of this story? And I keep banging on about the first thing you need to do. If you want to scale and you want clients flocking to you in a way that sometimes you have too many coming to you, which isn't a bad thing, or could be a bad thing, depends how you look at it. You need to choose a niche so that when you're marketing and talking to people, you're very specific and precise about what you want. And because of that, people hear what you're saying. When you say things like, oh, I help people save money with investments, or I do pensions, or I help people retire, or I help people protect their mortgages, or I help people protect their family against things, you're blabbing and you're saying too much for anyone to understand and appreciate what you really can do. So my advice is choose a niche. And that doesn't mean that you have to stop and down tools on everything else, but at some point in time that might happen because you're getting so many clients coming to you to work in the area that you really want to work in. When that happens, I can't even explain how good it is. Years and years ago, when I was receiving coaching myself, one of the things that we looked at very early on was working in your flow. And at the time, I remember thinking, that sounds like a lot of bullcrap. It's a bit woohoo, kind of out there stuff. It doesn't make any sense. But the more I looked into it, the more I learned about it, the more my coach went on about it. It was so clear. And when I started working with my advisors on their flow, things changed. It was amazing. It really was truly amazing. If you think about it, we all really enjoy doing parts of our job. And then there are parts of our job that we don't like to do. We sometimes have to do them because there's no one else to do them, or we think there's no one else to do them. But it's not a pleasurable part. So for me, picking up the phone and calling clients. I didn't. Calling clients to see if they want to book in and have an appointment. I didn't really enjoy doing that. I forced myself to do it, and the word is forced myself to do it. I was going against my flow. My flow was when I was sat in front of a customer talking about the things that I really enjoyed talking about with the clients. Pensions, for instance, or could have been investments, life cover, whatever. I enjoyed sitting down with clients talking about all these elements, but pensions in particular, I really loved. I excelled in, and clients could feel that from me. And because I talked to them only about pensions, they came flocking to me. And so, niche and flow. I think I'll do another video on flow because it does sound a bit woohoo. But the more you get involved in it, the better it is. So to stop myself feeling negative thoughts about picking up the phone to try and book clients in, guess what I did? I employed somebody to do it for me. I trained them on how to do it because I was actually really good at it. And I didn't have to do it anymore. And I filled that time with sitting down and talking to people who somebody else was calling to book in. It's amazing what you can do when you know what's out there. So flow kind of is it is a bit woohoo and out there, but it'll change your life. It changed my life for the better completely, both in terms of when I was training in property and in financial services, and also now in coaching other financial advisors to get to where they want to get to. Whether that is to get into, the 2 Comma Club that I'm in, or even if it's not that. If you have a target, I want 10 grand a month without any fuss, without having to buy crappy leads, without having to do bits and pieces, trying to pick up referrals here and there. Or I want 50 grand a month on the same basis. It doesn't matter. Whatever your goals are, there are things out there and tools available to you, and I can help you find them. So I hope you find this of interest. This is a short, I don't know how long I've been going on for, maybe 5 or 10 minute video about niche and why it's so important. If you could do one thing to improve your business flow to you, it's niching down and becoming the expert in the field that you want to be the expert in. Anyway, so I hope you found this useful. I hope you take something on board and start working with it, because when you do, you'll see what I'm saying is true. It worked for me, and it's worked for other people that I've worked with over the years as well. Okay, thank you for your time. Goodbye.